Trial where about 20 minutes ago, prosecution wrapped up its testimony today, and prosecution presented its closing arguments. The defense will begin presenting its closing at about 8:30 tomorrow morning. News Channel 5's Alex Sanz is live in Sanford right now. He's been covering this trial from the very beginning. Alex?
Shannon, the prosecution framing this as a night of assumptions, wrong guesses that ended last year with the death of a teenager, Trayvon Martin. This is some of what the jury heard a short time ago.
A teenager is dead. He is dead through no fault of his own. He is dead because another man made assumptions. Unfortunately, because his assumptions were wrong, Trayvon Benjamin Martin no longer walks on this earth. There's only one person, well, there's two people. One person's not with us anymore. But there's only two really people who knew what really happened out there. And he, the defendant, made sure that other person couldn't come into this courtroom and tell you what happened. Is there any dispute that this defendant profiled, it's my word, you can use whatever word you want to use, but isn't it true that this defendant assumed that Trayvon Martin was a criminal? You rely on your God-given common sense. When you rely on the law, and then when you rely and apply your common sense to you, I would submit to you, come back with a verdict that speaks the truth, a verdict that is just. And that verdict would be that this defendant is guilty of murder in the second degree.
And that second-degree murder conviction a possibility aside, the judge says the jury can consider one other charge, manslaughter. Deliberations could begin by this time tomorrow. They could continue into the weekend, Jay.
Alex Sanz live in Sanford for us. I'm joined now by Michelle Suskauer, our News Channel 5 legal analyst. While the prosecution has another chance tomorrow to make a rebuttal to the defense's closing arguments, how much did they connect with that six-member female jury pool today?
I mean, I guess we're going to see tomorrow because we don't really know how they connected, if they connected. But what they needed to do was they needed to remind the jury that it's about Trayvon Martin and not George Zimmerman, even though George Zimmerman is the one on trial, to make sure that we're talking about a teenager who was shot down. And they could not talk about George Zimmerman testifying on the stand, but what they did talk about was the statements he made, the reenactment that he showed, and the inconsistencies in it, and having them, again, stressing the fact that they need to use their common sense. And really, that was sort of a theme. Use your common sense. Does this make sense?
Your defense attorney, Michelle, the stakes could not be higher. This case being watched around the globe. What does Mark O'Mara and his legal team need to do tomorrow to really get this case sealed up for them? Again,
switching the sides and then focusing now on George Zimmerman, humanizing him, talking about the reasonable doubt that the state did not prove second-degree murder. And again, they don't want a compromise verdict. They want a not guilty. That's what they're going to argue. They're going to argue a complete not guilty, that there are too many inconsistencies, and again, that the state is asking the jury to take too many leaps of faith with them.
Well, could be a big development today. Earlier today, the judge in the case deciding to let the jurors allowed to consider that lesser charge of manslaughter. How will that impact this case? A big twist.
Well, it's not a surprise. The defense did not want it. They wanted two things on the verdict form. They wanted not guilty or guilty of second-degree murder. They wanted it all or nothing because they don't believe that the state can prove second-degree murder. What the state was arguing for were some alternatives, that just in case the jury did not find proof beyond a reasonable doubt for second-degree murder, that they had another option of manslaughter, which is still going to send George Zimmerman to prison for a very long time.
Guilty or not guilty?
I think not guilty.
We'll see you tomorrow. Michelle Suskauer, our legal analyst, thanks so much for your time.
Sure.
We'll see you tomorrow again. And if you want to know the moment the verdict is reached, be sure to download our WPTV app for your smartphone. We will send out alerts as soon as it happens. We will also have live coverage on WPTV.com.